What's going on YouTube? So since trucks are the dominant form of transportation here in America, it pays to capture even a little bit of the market share from the big three. Now what we're with today is the latest of the challengers, the extensively refreshed 2020 Nissan Titan in none other than the Pro-4X trim. So after spending the last 7 days with it, is it an appealing alternative to the status quo? Let's go ahead and find out. So let's start today with what Mason and I both agree is probably one of the most appealing aspects of this new Titan, and that is the exterior design, especially here with this Pro-4X trim. This trim just really has a mean, rugged look to it, and that starts up here with the grille. So Nissan has really worked for 2020 to separate all the trim levels with different designs, and with the Pro-4X we have the full black design. So that includes the surround all around it with Titan up there and engraved into it. We also have the full black mesh grille and the special blacked out Nissan badge with red Nissan script. Now below that you'll also find a couple more Pro-4X features. So you've got some tow hooks that are also finished in that same red color. And down here at the bottom you have a big metal skid plate, and the Pro-4X is the only trim level to have that since it is the off-road focus trim. Now, turning over here to your headlights. This is the probably most noticeable upgrade for 2020, and that's because we've gone to a really upscale and really nice looking full LED headlight arrangement. So you'll notice we have this bracket-shaped daytime running light. We also have LED low and high beams. You have a little Nissan emblem over here on the side, and then the only part that is incandescent is the turn signal. Also down below you'll find LED fog lights standard on the Pro-4X. Now down here at your wheels, this is an 18-inch alloy with a unique design for the Pro-4X, mostly blacked out of course. And you also notice we have that paired with all-terrain tires. And then jumping up here to your mirrors, I'm a big fan of these because they have a lot of features. First of all, they're very large. You have a blind spot mirror integrated in it, as well as a blind spot monitor. With the convenience package, we also have a few more features, which is auto dimming and power folding abilities. So let's talk about the side of this refreshed 2020 Titan. Now the thing you're probably most curious about is going to be like the bed and cab configurations. This is a truck after all. So here on the Pro-4X trim you can actually get the king cab with the half door, or what we have here, which is the full-size crew cab model. Now, depending on which one of those you get, you either get the 6.5 foot bed or the 5.5 foot bed with the full-size crew cab model. Now, as far as other things to mention, I do want to point out that on the Pro-4X you have these black wheel arch surrounds, as well as this big Pro-4X branding on the side. And then coming around to the rear, this is probably, I don't know, I haven't quite made up my mind if the rear is my favorite or if the front. But I have to say, the rear really gives me some Raptor vibes, and that's definitely a great thing. We actually had a neighbor think that this was a Raptor because it looks really quite nice, because the Pro-4X will throw in this black piece with Titan branding going all the way through the rear. Really has a neat and cool look. And then as far as other features, you're going to have a black bumper on the Pro-4X and an exposed exhaust outlet on the right side. Now, one last thing to mention as far as the design is concerned for this refreshed Titan is that on this Pro-4X you are going to have standard LED taillights. That is going to be new for this refresh. The brake light itself is going to be LED, as well as your accenting. However, the turn signal and reverse light is incandescent. Now, you're probably curious about how usable this truck is. It is a truck after all. So getting into the bed, this is the 5.5 foot bed, and we have every option. So we have the utility package, which will throw in quite a few different features. One of those features is going to be full LED bed lighting, and I have to say at nighttime that is a really cool touch. You can see a lot of stuff back here, and also thrown in that package are all of your rails along the side. And as far as how to get in, Titan does give you this little side step. So all you have to do is locate the little button, like the push thing on the side, and when you do that, it will have a drop down step, and that does allow getting into this bed to be really quite easy.
Now, hopping out of this bed, you may be curious as to how much this Titan can tow, and it can tow almost 11,000 pounds as a maximum with four-wheel drive, so that's definitely very class competitive for a pickup truck. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, that's also going to be a pretty impressive touch for this Titan, since this Pro-4X is going to come standard with the entire gamut of Nissan's Safety Shield 360 systems. So that does mean that even the most advanced systems like adaptive cruise are going to be thrown on this model, and that's definitely something that we've enjoyed using throughout this week. But that's going to be it for this Pro-4X's really cool off-roady design on the outside. Now let's go ahead and hop on the inside and see what Nissan has thrown in there that's special, and then we'll take it out on a spin.
So on the Titan Pro-4X, you will find Nissan's typical key fob with a standard smart entry system. And then if you choose the convenience package, that will also throw in remote start. Now to get inside the truck itself, in typical Nissan fashion, there's not going to be a sensor behind the handle, so you'll just press the button to unlock. And taking a peek inside of the cabin, you'll notice right off the bat, there's a lot of special touches for the Pro-4X, and of course there's a lot of upgrades for this 2020 refresh. Now as far as your different interior material and color options on the Pro-4X, you basically got two different choices. You're going to have a cloth seat as standard equipment that comes in charcoal color, or as this model has, you have the optional leather that is also in the charcoal color with the orange color contrast stitching and embroidering. Now turning over here to your door trim, you will see the same materials reflected up here as well. So we have a leather material across the armrest as well as above it with some more of that color contrast stitching. I will note though that the top of the door trim is hard touch. And then over here you'll find two-person memory seating when you choose the convenience package. As far as your windows, they're going to be one-touch auto up and down for your driver and passenger. Now heading over here to your seats, this is the 8-way power adjusting seat with 2-way lumbar support. This is standard equipment on Pro-4X. And then like I already mentioned, we have the optional leather seating, which feels very nice, and I really like how attractive this seat design is, like I said, with the color contrast stitching as well as the special embroidered Pro-4X emblem. Now getting inside this Titan, even though it's really large, we have the optional metal running boards. They're really wide and nice to step on. They also have included a driver's side assist grip, so it's very easy to get in, even for someone relatively short like myself. Now the Pro-4X is basically positioned as a middle option in the Titan lineup. But despite that, the material quality is pretty similar to your highest end trim levels. So across the upper dashboard, you do have a soft touch material. You also have a double color contrast stitching detail. And then dropping down from that, we also have a soft touch middle dashboard. Below that, we have a faux aluminum accent. And we also have some piano black accents that run around the vents. Now your lower areas, those are going to be hard touch, but everything does fit together very nicely. And I'd say the materials are roughly in line with most of the competition, though it's certainly not like a Ram Limited. And across the entire Titan lineup, you do have standard push button start. Now taking a look at the gauges, this is a very attractive gauge setup. It is mostly analog, and we have some red accents around the gauges and a large 7-inch multifunction display right there in the middle. This contains a lot of different kinds of information, including those extra gauges and displays for off-roading, as well as different safety systems. So I really like all the options that Nissan throws into this multifunction display. Now as far as the steering wheel, of course you do have a nice leather wrapped wheel standard on the Pro-4X, again with that same color contrast stitching, and you also notice the black badge with the red Nissan emblem just like in the front and the back of the truck. As far as the wheel itself, it is going to be power adjusting when you choose the convenience package, and that will also throw in heating. And finally up top, we do have rain sensing wipers. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about interior storage, because a truck is about getting stuff done at the end of the day. Now, underneath our center console here, you're gonna find a massive amount of space, just like most trucks. So we have a little tray, you can remove that. And once inside, you're gonna notice a gigantic bin with a nice felt lining down at the bottom. It does have like 2 tiers as well. And you'll also notice a 12-volt outlet inside. Now, grab our coupons. Obviously, they're gonna be no match for this amount of storage. You could put probably 1,000 of them inside of this. Now, the Titan's center storage here is unique in the fact that you can actually remove this stuff. So, if we don't need our cup holders, for instance, we can just yank them off. As well as this slot here, which holds your phone in place. We can also just yank that right off like so. And you'll notice we have another ton of space right here, just good enough for sticking pretty much anything. In front of that, we have a little slot here, which we find very handy to stick hand sanitizer. That's important these days. And then down below, we have some more storage along the sides, as well as in the door trim. So there's gonna be plenty of storage for sure. Now, a lot of that storage comes courtesy of the fact that we have a column-mounted shifter instead of a dash-mounted shifter. So obviously for drive, you're just gonna pull down. You can do some manual controls right here with these little toggles, and if you press the end of the stalk, this will activate tow mode. Now when we head into reverse, we'll find a really handy feature here on this model, and that is your 360 around view monitor. This is part of the convenience package for this Pro-4X trim level, and definitely a very nice thing to have on a truck that's this big. Obviously you would just get a normal backup camera as standard equipment on the Pro-4X, but this is definitely worth considering, especially if you do a lot of driving around the city. Now, it's a pretty high-end truck. You do have a lot of buttons through here, so I'll kind of look around at some of the main things to check out. Obviously, this is for your 4-wheel drive controls. Over here, we also have the trailer brake controller. We have 2 USB ports and a 12-volt outlet right through there. You also notice down here at the bottom, this is where you'll find your seat controls. So the heated seats, those are going to be part of the convenience package for this Pro-4X, and if you want ventilation, that's part of the moonroof package. And then up top here, we have the climate control itself. This is a standard dual zone automatic setup. Very simple to use. All the buttons are located physically here, so you could definitely use these with gloves if you're working on a work site or something like that. Alright, so now that brings us to our audio system. So there's a 6-speaker sound system that's standard on the Pro-4X, but we have actually got the Fender 12-speaker premium sound system, which comes from the higher end trim levels on this model since we've opted for the utility package. So let's go ahead and take a sample. Overall, this is a fantastic sound system, and I've definitely enjoyed listening to it over the past week. Alright, so now we are up here at our display. This is one of our big 2020 changes for the Titan, because this is now a 9-inch display as standard equipment on this Pro-4X trim level. Nissan also says the resolution is above high definition, and you can definitely tell there's a lot of quality to this screen. I don't know how much of it will be able to pick up on camera, but really great resolution, great brightness. I have no complaints at all about this display. Now, as far as the software itself, this is the latest version of the Nissan Connect system. So as you can see, you have little widgets, kind of like an Android tablet. And you can click on these things to expand them out into the full menu. So you have some shortcuts along the bottom here. You'll also find some hard buttons down here. You will also find both standard Android Auto and Apple CarPlay abilities, and with the 9-inch display, that will throw in an integrated navigation system, which is also nice and detailed. Now, up above the display, you will find a standard auto-dimming mirror with 3 home-link universal remotes for the Pro-4X. And up at the very top, you'll find one of my favorite features about this 2020 Titan, and that is this full panoramic moonroof. As you can see, this goes all the way back and really adds to the premium feel of this cabin. Like I said, this is new for 2020, and I definitely appreciate it because there's still several rivals that do not offer a feature like this.
Now, sitting back here in the crew cab version of the Titan's rear seat, obviously there is going to be an absolute crap ton of space, just like you would see in pretty much any full-size truck. Now, as far as your legroom figures, it's going to be 40 inches of your legroom, 41 inches of your headroom, which does place it below the F-150 and some of the main competition like the Ram. However, I mean, sitting behind rear seating position, I still have probably 7 to 8 inches of rear legroom. My feet can easily slide up underneath the seat, so certainly not going to have space as an issue in this Titan's rear seat. Now, as far as your feature set, we also have pretty much every option on this Pro-4X, so we're going to have a very luxurious one. Up top, we do have cup holders, some Titan branding. Dropping down, we also have vents to keep you nice and cool on a hot summer day. And then we have plenty of connections, so we have a 12-volt power outlet, 2 charging USBs. Off to the side, we have a household-style outlet, and also on this Pro-4X model, we do also have 2-stage heated rear seats. And then, finishing off the design, we do have a fold-down armrest with some more cup holders inside just in case you need 4 drinks back here. Now, trucks have to have some utility to go with all of that space, so this Titan is no exception. It does allow you to fold these rear seats down completely flat. If you locate this little strap right here, they'll fold it down flat. And then, as far as the other features, you can lift it up, and then that's going to give you access to this area right here. Now, this is a multi-use type of thing here, so we can actually fold this out, and if we extend this, it will completely make the loading floor back here flat. So this is definitely something good if you were hauling something in the back and don't want it to not be flat. And then we can also lift this up, and then that will also give you some more additional storage that is lockable. So that's definitely another benefit that it does give you, to really just kind of make it as usable as you can possibly make it, since this is a truck after all. Now, the passenger seat is still going to be power adjusting on this Pro-4X. It's just going to be 4-way and miss out on the lumbar support from the driver's seat. And then if we look at the glove box, it's not dampened, and the size it's okay for this Titan. I would have expected it to maybe be a little bit bigger for a giant truck like this. So as far as how the coupons can fit, if you can't fit them anywhere else, you can still fit them in this glove box. I'd say you could fit a pretty decent stack in here, which you might need to save a little bit of money on that gas. Use some coupons to offset. And then as far as up top, we do have a mirror as well as a light, and you can also detach and extend it.
That V8. Got to love the V8. Wow. It just sounds so good, and it is really quite powerful. So this is one of the big benefits of choosing the 2020 Titan, and that's that you get the 5.6 liter V8 standard on all the trims, not just this Pro-4X, but all the trims, even that base S model. And the power numbers are really nice. 400 horsepower and 413 pound-feet of torque. That has been upgraded a bit for this year as well.
Yeah, when you put your foot down in this, I mean, that was honestly one of the things that shocked me the most when I got behind the wheel of it, is just how much power is at your disposal. Something this big doesn't seem like something that would be fast, but when you throw the hammer down, you can get moving, and you get moving really in a quick manner.
things you're going to notice when you get behind the wheel of the refresh Titan is that we have a 9-speed automatic on board instead of the previous 7-speed automatic. Over the past week, I've really been happy with the performance of this transmission. It seems really snappy in the responsiveness when you're, going up to speed. It fires off shifts really nicely. It's also good and responsive for passing. So when you put your foot down, it tends to pick the right gear pretty quickly and get you moving, even though it's got quite a lot of gears.
Yeah. But once you get up to speed, you may be curious about how is this Titan going to handle the just everyday livability and driving dynamics. I know I was curious going into, especially since the Pro-4X is the off-roading trim level for this Titan, how does it handle the day-to-day? And I'm happy to say that since the Titan Pro-4X does also have off-roading shocks, it does ride really nicely. As you can tell, we're about to go over a bridge here. It really soaks up the bumps, which is good. Now, as far as the noise level entering into the cabin, I will go ahead and get a reading. We're going around 50-ish miles per hour. And at that speed, we're looking at around 56.5 decibels, which that's a very respectable figure. We actually take this loop quite often, and that compares pretty favorably to most things. I will say the only thing that I can hear audibly, I can hear the engine a little bit, and I can also hear some tire noise. Since we do have those big, thick off-roading tires, I hear a little bit of tire noise, but as far as like the wind or anything like that, I'm really not noticing it. Now, as much as I love that V8 growl when you take off from red lights, you are going to pay a little bit of a price for that, and that's going to be in your fuel economy compared to some of the competition. So this Titan Pro-4X is rated at 15 city, 21 highway, 17 combined, and of course it does come standard with 4-wheel drive, so that's something worth noting. Now, as far as what we've gotten throughout the course of the week, we haven't really gotten as good as the EPA suggests for this Titan. And, right now, throughout about 300 miles. About 300 miles, and our average fuel economy has been 10.5 miles per gallon. Yeah. That's a mixture of city and highway driving, probably 70% city. Yeah. But, we got some highway in there. Let's just say, even when you really coax it into being as efficient as you can possibly drive, we barely seem to be matching that combined number as the best we could possibly achieve this week. So I think, based on our experience at least, you could probably expect to be getting less or a lot less fuel economy depending on how you drive. Besides for that really nice engine sound, our slam dunk for today is going to be value. This Titan, as you probably expect, it does come in quite a bit less expensive than some of these rivals that are just gone into the stratosphere as far as price tag is concerned. With the Pro-4X trim specifically, you start out about $50,000, which is definitely a good value, and then you can add a lot of the luxury features, which I definitely like that Nissan makes them available. So we have about $10,000 extra worth of options, and we're about $60,000 on this one. Still really a nice value though for what you get. So all in all, we are really big fans of what Nissan has done with this refreshed Titan. I feel like they did really a lot of what they needed to do. They really listened to what consumers were talking about, wanting, and they implemented it. Especially in terms of like the design, this is a really, really nice looking truck and really stands out. And like we said, this is all coming with more features than you expect for the price, more capability than you expect for the price. It really is just a strong value proposition, and I think that it does make a good alternative to the status quo. Well guys, that's going to be it for this in-depth look at the 2020 Nissan Titan Pro-4X after we've lived with it for 7 days. If you enjoyed this video, there's a ton more Nissan content on our channel, including content on other big name trucks like the F-150, Ram 1500, and Silverado, so be sure to check those out, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.